subscribe and hit the bell.
I knew that I needed to devise a plan, one that would protect the treasure's integrity while ensuring my own safety. It was a delicate balance to strike, and I couldn't afford to make hasty decisions. And as I sat there, pondering my options, I noticed a faint sound echoing through the chamber, the distant sound of footsteps. My heart skipped a bit as the realization hit me. I was not alone in this cave. Fear and adrenaline surged through me as I hastily turned off my flashlight, plunging the chamber back into darkness. I strained to listen, my senses on high alert. The footsteps were growing louder and louder, and there were voices too, speaking in hushed tones. My mind raced. Who were these intruders, and how had they found their way into the cave? Were they here for the treasures as well, or did they have other motives? I knew I had to remain hidden to observe and assess the situation before taking any action, and the flashlight remained tucked in my back, my only source of illumination if needed. I clutched it tightly, my fingers trembling. The voices drew closer, and I strained to make out their words. It was a tense and anxious moment, and the decisions I would make in the next few minutes could shape the course of my adventure in ways I could hardly imagine. In the darkness of the chamber, I crouched low, straining to hear every whispered word and rustling footstep. The voices grew clearer and clearer, and I could tell that there were at least 2 intruders. They spoke in hushed tones, their words a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "Did you see those jewels?" one of them murmured, the awe evident in his voice. "They're like nothing I've ever seen," replied the other, his voice tinged with greed. "We'll be rich beyond our wildest dreams." My heart pounded in my chest as I listened to their conversation. It was clear that they were here for the treasure, and I knew I couldn't allow them to take it without knowing their true intentions. I needed actually to act at this moment, but my injured leg made moving quietly a challenge. I slowly crawled toward the edge of the chamber, my fingers brushing against the cold, damp ground. The pain in my leg was a constant reminder of my vulnerability, but I couldn't let fear paralyze me. The intruders continued to discuss their plans, their voices growing more animated. It was now or never. With a deep breath, I retrieved my flashlight from my back, careful not to make a sound, and switched it on. The sudden burst of light illuminated the chamber, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The intruders froze, their faces contorted in surprise and fear. It was a tense standoff, and I knew I needed to act quickly. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice quivering with a mixture of fear and authority. The intruders exchanged nervous glances with remaining silent. I said, "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" I repeated, my flashlights being fixed on their faces. One of them finally spoke up, his voice shaky. "Oh, we're just explorers like you. We didn't mean any harm." I wasn't sure if I could trust their words, but for the moment my priority was to ensure my safety and protect the treasure. I needed to assert control of the situation. "Listen," I said, my tone firm. "We need to work together to ensure that this treasure is preserved and studied by experts. We can't let it fall into the wrong hands." Reluctantly, the intruders nodded in agreement. It was clear that they were torn between their greed and the realization that this discovery was too significant to be kept a secret. As we cautiously made our way out of the chamber and back into the maze of passages, I couldn't help but wonder about the challenges that lay ahead. The treasure was a double-edged sword, actually, a gift and a burden. And the delicate balance between preservation and secrecy would require all of our ingenuity and cooperation. With my flashlight leading the way, we embarked on a treacherous journey through the cave, our shared purpose guiding us forward. The path ahead was uncertain, but we were united by a common goal to protect the secrets of the cave and the riches it held, even if it meant facing the dangers that lurked in its depth. The uneasy alliance between the intruders and me continued as we navigated the labyrinth passages of the cave. Each twist and turn seemed to blur together, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that the cave itself had its secrets close. Our footsteps echoed through the caverns, and the eerie silence was broken only by the occasional drip of water, the flashlight's beam cut through the darkness, revealing the haunting beauty of the rock formations that adorned the cave's interior. It was a stark reminder of the ancient world that had remained hidden for centuries. As we moved deeper into the cave, the atmosphere grew tense. I couldn't help but wonder about the intruders' true intentions. They were genuinely interested in preserving the treasure's historical significance, or did they just have ulterior motives? My suspicions were confirmed when we heard faint sounds echoing from behind us. Footsteps, voices, someone else was in the cave, and they were closing in on us. Fear gripped my heart as I turned to the intruders, my voice barely above a whisper. "We're not alone. There are others in the cave, and we need to be careful." The intruders exchanged alarmed glances, realizing the gravity of the situation. We had unintentionally attracted unwanted attention, and the dangers that lay ahead were unpredictable. "We can't let them get their hands on the treasure," one of the intruders whispered urgently. "I agree," I replied, the urgency in my voice matching theirs. "But we also can't risk a confrontation, guys. Let's find a hiding spot and observe their movements." We quickly located a concealed alcove hidden from view and watched as the approaching footsteps grew louder. Soon a group of shadowy figures came into view, their flashlight beams cutting through the darkness. There were at least 4 of them, and their hushed conversations revealed their intent to claim the treasure for themselves. They were well equipped and moved with a purpose that sent a chill down my spine. As they drew closer to the chamber where we had discovered the treasure, I realized that the situation had escalated beyond our control. We were now in a race against time, a battle to protect the riches and the secrets of the cave. The intruders and I exchanged determined glances. We knew that we couldn't let the newcomers reach the treasure first, but a direct confrontation would be perilous. We needed a plan, a way to outsmart our pursuers and protect the ancient riches that had captivated our imaginations. With our hearts pounding and the odds stacked against us, we prepared to face the challenges they lay ahead, ready to do whatever it took to safeguard the cave's enigmatic treasures. The hidden alcove concealed us from the approaching group, and we watched in tense silence as they drew closer to the chamber containing the treasure. Their flashlights danced erratically, casting eerie shadows on the cave walls as they moved with a sense of urgency. It was clear that they were intent on claiming the treasure for themselves, and we knew we had to act quickly if we wanted to prevent it from falling into their hands. The intruders who had initially accompanied me exchanged worried glances. We were outnumbered, and the odds of a direct confrontation working in our favor were slim. We needed a plan that could give us an advantage without resorting to violence. I leaned in close to the intruders and whispered, "We need to distract them, create a diversion that will give us a chance to secure the treasure, guys." They nodded in agreement, and we quickly devised a plan. One of the intruders would approach the newcomers and engage them in conversation, while the other would use a small hidden passage we had discovered earlier to access the chamber from a different direction. I stayed in the alcove, ready to provide assistance or cover if needed. My heart raced in anticipation as we put our plan into action. The intruder who had volunteered to approach the newcomers stepped forward, his flashlight aimed at the ground. He called out to them, his voice trembling with faint excitement. "Hey, over here! You won't believe what we found!" The newcomers' flashlights swung toward him, their voices hushed as they discussed the discovery. Their attention was diverted, and it was the perfect opportunity for the other intruder to slip into the chamber from a different entrance. I held my breath as I watched the plan unfold. The intruder inside the chamber moved silently, his flashlight switched off to avoid detection. It was a tense moment, and I could only hope that he would reach the treasure before the newcomers did. Time seemed to stretch as I waited, my heart pounding in my chest. Then I saw a glimmer of hope. The intruder inside the chamber reappeared, carefully carrying several artifacts in his arms. He motioned for me to come closer, and I joined him, taking a few pieces of treasure myself. We moved as quietly as possible, trying to avoid drawing attention to our actions. The newcomers were still engrossed in conversation with the other intruder, oblivious to our efforts to secure the treasure. With the precious artifacts in our possession, we retreated into the hidden alcove, our hearts racing with a mixture of relief and triumph. We had managed to outwit our pursuers and protect the treasures of the cave. As we huddled in the alcove, the newcomers eventually grew suspicious and began to search the area, but it was too late. We had secured a portion of the treasure, and it would not fall into the wrong hands. Our victory, however, came at a cost. The cave's secrets remained hidden, and we were left with the burden of protecting these enigmatic riches. It was a reminder that adventure often came with a price, and true value of the treasure lay not in its material wealth, guys, but actually in the mysteries it held. And you know, as we made our way back through the cave, treasures in tow, I couldn't help but reflect on the lessons learned during this narrowing journey. The price of treasure was not measured in gold and jewels, but the choices we made and the responsibilities we shouldered. Our treasure had irrevocably changed us, and as we emerged from the cave's depth and returned to the world above, we carried with us the weight of a remarkable journey, a shared purpose, and the enduring secrets of the mysterious cave. Thank you so much for listening to this story, guys. Check out our other videos.